Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, author of Visualizing Happiness in Every Area of Your Life and host of this podcast, Incredible Life Creator. And today we have Miss Tanya Cole-Lesnick on with us, and we have had her on before, so welcome again.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be with you today.
Yes, and we're on today because she has a wonderful, beautiful, deepening retreat coming up, and I just wanted to share that with everyone so you have an opportunity to go. So, just so you can know who Tanya is, I'm going to read her bio. Tanya Cole-Lesnick is a psychotherapist, licensed clinical social worker, and personal development coach who is focused on helping people to pursue a life that honors their truest selves, is clear of energetic clutter, and that they are genuinely excited to be living. She does this by helping her clients to identify the limiting beliefs and behavior patterns that take up mental space and demand energy but don't help to move the needle towards growth, meaning, or how they want to feel. This is what Tanya calls energetic clutter. From there, she helps her clients to heal faulty narratives and change the habits that don't serve them so that they are living in alignment inside and out. Tanya's work revolves around a combination of group and individual coaching, as she believes that the sharing of inner worlds and being human together is a safe place, collectively and individually, is an incredibly powerful method for lasting transformation. Tanya received her master's degree in social work from the New York University in 1995, soon after group therapy changed her life. She has extensive experience in outpatient hospital, mental health, private practice, and wellness center settings. All right, I said a lot with that. So we're going to get into this because some people might not know what energetic clutter is or limiting beliefs or what is
Mhm.
all this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's just start from the beginning. I mean, what are limiting beliefs? What is energetic clutter?
Yeah. So energetic clutter is something that I came up with actually when I was clearing out my own kitchen cabinets. And I saw the parallel between the stuff that was sitting on the cabinets that hadn't been used in years, that were not taking up any useful space, or they didn't have any meaning for me, but they were just there. And just realized the limiting beliefs. And we'll say more about that in a minute. But and the behaviors that go along with them are taking up a lot of space and energy and interfere with our ability to connect to our intuition, to even know what we really want in our lives, let alone live in a way that really speaks more to us, has more meaning to us, is more satisfying for us to be living.
Mm.
So, the limiting beliefs are beliefs that we all have that grew out of our childhoods, from the families we grew up in, the cultures that we grew up in as well. Sometimes limiting beliefs get developed also later in life if we have some fairly intense experiences that might cause our understanding of the world to have a certain narrative that goes along with it. So, for example, limiting beliefs are things like, if I'm not a good girl, I'm not going to be able to have the friends I want, or nobody's going to love me, people will abandon me. And those are all developed in childhood to keep us safe. So when we're a kid and we're deciding which behaviors we are going to get what we want as we go through our lives, we learn by what receives a positive reaction, what receives a negative reaction, or what gets us what we want to keep us cared for, safe, all of that. I mean, when we're a kid, our lives depend on our caretakers. So we really are trying to gauge, what can I do? What can I not do? So, and I know it's tricky to understand it.
Yeah, it is. And so what is a limiting belief?
Yeah. So a limiting belief, my understanding of a limiting belief are these narratives that aren't based in reality, they're based in these ideas. So one that I have talked about a lot, and I know I just mentioned it, is this idea that I would be abandoned if I'm not a good girl, if I'm not And what happens is then it leads to people pleasing behavior. So I'm trying to gauge what somebody wants from me, if that's my limiting belief. And then I'm people who have that particular limiting belief, and many of us can share it, especially women, I think, can start to be a bit of a chameleon and gauge what somebody else wants and then start to behave a certain way that's not checking in with ourselves, not honoring our hearts or our energy levels in any way. But it's really about looking outside to somebody else to decide our behavior. And what happens with that is we are not living in a way that speaks to us, and we get depleted. And there's resentment and irritability, and we can bubble over with like, oh, there's so much going on, and not feel able to choose for ourselves and honor ourselves in that kind of scenario. And that's just one example. There are many, but there's a lot of common ones. And we all have our own nuanced versions because of the stories that we grew up with, the messaging that we got. And but there's a lot of overlap. Things like worth. There's a lot of people that feel like they are not worthy or they have to hustle for their worth. So there's a lot of overdoing in that kind of situation and exhaustion that goes along with that. Sometimes people feel like they're just too much, so they have to tamp down their expressiveness, their emotionality, their directness. Sometimes people feel like they're not enough, and that goes back a little bit to the hustling for worth. What are some other common ones? I had that being productive is so much more important than choosing to spend time in different ways. So many people have this idea that I can only take care of myself, rest, have fun after I've done everything that's like on my to-do list. And what happens is we're never all done. There's always something else around the corner. And so if we don't pause and take care of ourselves, then we're in this energetic hamster wheel situation where by the time we stop and pause, we're just so exhausted. We're either crashing in some way or just having a very negative experience. So, yeah.
That makes sense because we all need to have time to, for self-care. And I
Mhm.
actually had a day like that yesterday. I woke up and I was talking to a friend and she said, "What are you doing today?" I said, "Well, I'm going to get a massage and then I'm going to come home and I'm going to go to the pool and I'm going to do my workout in the pool." And then I said, "Sometime later today, I'm going to talk to my granddaughter." And she said, "Is that it?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know what else I'm doing today because I set the day aside, So in the morning, I spent time, reading my Bible, praying, doing my meditation and my affirmations and just reading what I wanted to read. And it was one of those days where it's like you need those days when it's just a relaxation day.
Totally.
You're just not allowed to do money making things. We're so
Mhm.
um kind of programmed that, if you're not doing something that's creating income, then you're just wasting your time. But that's not the case at all. We need those days to relax and, you know. So now today I'm going to have a much more productive day because why? I'm rested. I can think
Yeah.
clearly.
Oh, I love that so much. I actually have been calling those noodle days lately
Uh-huh.
because it's sort of like a noodle is when it's cooked in water, just kind of a free form. And so I love that, just checking in. What do I want? What is my heart calling to me? And I love what you're speaking about is this balance so that, yeah, it's not that we're never going to have these very high energy, productive focus of a day, but it needs to be balanced out in the way that you described is wonderful. I even think within a day to make sure that you're having pauses throughout a day so that you can just feel grounded, replenished, and be able to move on with whatever else that you have planned. But what I find is so many of us way over plan and then get very upset with ourselves when we're not reaching some of these very unrealistic goals that don't allow for very basic things. So, yeah.
Exactly. Now, sometimes when people think about going deep and going into you call the narrative or the stories we tell ourselves,
Mhm.
that's really scary. It's like, I don't want to do that. I mean, you're talking about a retreat and there's other people there, and you're thinking, I don't want to go there by myself. And I certainly don't want to go there if there's other people around and I don't want to share. You know, so
Mhm.
how do you, as you're working with people, I guess I'm trying to understand when you're at the retreat, how do you go about this so that people feel safe and they feel comfortable
Yeah.
even going there?
Yeah, yeah. Totally. And I run group as well, and the fear part is both retreats, groups, talking with other people, being vulnerable with other people. What my experience has been in these spaces is that once people are in these spaces, there's usually some overlap with people who have been in the space with me in particular. I run the retreats with another amazing therapist coach, Kathy Anisi, and she and I have worked with hundreds of women through the many years that we've been doing this. So every time we do a retreat, we call them retreater repeaters, and then there's newbies. And so, and same with groups. There are new people and then people who have been doing it for a bit. And so, in some ways, that's scary because it's like, oh, wait, other people know each other and I don't know them. So that then I even feel more on the outside. But what can happen is we give people an opportunity to kind of sit back. I mean, always somebody can come to a retreat. It's their retreat. They don't have to say a word if they don't want to say a word. But what happens is when they see the comfort in which those people who have been there before are able to share and the level of vulnerability and sort of the inner worlds that we start to share with each other, including me and Kathy, who, when we do the retreat together, or just me when I'm running my groups, I share as well from a very human place, so that people can what's the word? So that it doesn't have to like normalize it to norm because I think that's a problem in our world that that's somehow shameful to have all this inner world stuff. We all have it. And so starting to normalize that and help people have that experience, not only do they realize it's safe to do, but the connection that comes from it. I think one of the reasons why I love both group and retreat, but there's something because the retreat's this very contained amount of time and it's this one specific group start to finish,
Mhm.
the love really that gets developed, the connection, even if we never see each other again, but the connection that happens during this time, the safety, the sharing, it's it's really such a beautiful experience. And I think everybody's got this like, and I've had a number of people who have been scared and have talked to me about their fear and have said things like, not sure if I'm really going to share. And then almost have the opposite, like, oh, I felt okay doing it. And so that was amazing.
That is awesome. So, who is this retreat for? I mean,
Yeah.
all of us have those limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
but what women are you speaking to? What are the things they're thinking or wishing or feeling in their heart?
Yeah. Usually, well, it's all women. And then usually I think we attract a lot of high achiever, perfectionistic women, as well as people who feel like, isn't there more? And feeling sort of held back and stuck. It's really somebody who's got enough awareness to know they're not quite living the life that they're dreaming of, but they don't really understand what's in the way for them. So it's often that it could be for women that, because a lot of women that do come to the retreat, not everybody, but some of them are doing some of the group work or already doing some work on their own. So they know some of the journey. They are looking at their limiting beliefs, but the retreat gives them a chance to go a little bit deeper. And then that is such a great, pivotal point in their work so that they can get more movement happening. That can unblock some things, more movement happening. So it could be for people who are doing some work on themselves, but they know they want to flow a little bit more and to get a more impactful push through some of the stuff that might be feeling stuck for them.
Mhm. Wow. If somebody's kind of on the edge, they're just going, well, that sounds really good, but I don't know if I should do that. I mean, what would you tell them?
Oh, well, I not that they know me, but I would say just trust the process. It's amazing. So that's one. Um, if they go look at my website, there's a few video testimonials of people who have done it, talking about that experience for themselves, how meaningful it was. Um, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody. I have a free discovery session on my website. So if somebody wants to sign up just to talk about retreats, I'd be happy to talk that through a bit because I get the fear. I really do. I attend retreats as well as somebody who, knows a lot about this topic, yet I'm still human and have to go through it myself, right? And as do you. And so, as humans, we can either look at it or not look at it. But if we don't look at it, and by looking at it, I mean some of these narratives, some of these limiting beliefs that might be in the way, if we don't look at it, doesn't mean they're not running the show. It just means we're not looking at it. And so if we start to look at it and get a sense of, well, what do I want and what's in the way, that can be so helpful. So I attend retreats as well. And I can feel scared going into a group, and being vulnerable is being vulnerable. I mean,
Mhm.
it's hard to do no matter what, because just the definition of the word means, you're showing some of these more raw parts of yourself. So all of that's hard and scary, but the what you get from it, the connection, not only to the other people during this time, but to yourself, the transformation that can happen from these spaces is life changing. I mean, I've been able to see it in my own life and also witness it in some of the people that I've seen in the work that I've done. And it's so powerful. So yeah, I don't want to really say, oh, just trust the process, trust me, but there is some leap of faith in it.
Mhm. Exactly. So what
Yeah.
is your website so people could find it?
Yeah, it is my name, but I have an easier to remember handle, which is clearenergeticclutter.com.
Okay, clearenergeticclutter.com. That is
Yes.
easier
Yeah.
because you have
Yeah.
one of those long hyphenated names, Tanya
That is
Walnut.
right. That's why I changed. I mean, that's why I have the other URL. I know my name's a little tricky.
Exactly. So, when and where will this retreat be?
So I'm not even sure when this is going to be available to people because the retreat's soon. It's in October. And for this particular retreat, actually, we only have commuter packages available there. It's at this beautiful location, Glenwood Farms in Cold Spring, New York. It's a lovely, the buildings are beautiful, the grounds are beautiful. We do some movement, we hike, we do a little yoga, um, a lot of transformation. We create we have like a slumber party on the first night, and that's really fun. And we also do a bead project where through the weekend we're identifying some of the things that we each want to stay mindful of and remember as we leave the retreat. And so we make necklaces or bracelets or some physical reminder with a word on it. And that word or words can help us as a mantra as we continue forward, stay really connected to the work that we had done at the retreat and continue forward with that. So it's lots of different activities. We have a sound healing as well. And even though it's as full as I just described, there is time to rest between all the activities. So if people want to be quiet and chill a bit, that they can in between. And part of what happens in all the different activities is you learn different things about yourself. I know we had a lot of discussion after the slumber party about Oh, being in a less structure, because we had done some of the more workshopy kind of experiences before, and then the sound healing. So the slumber party was a little unstructured, and people just talked about what came up for them. And people had aha moments at various parts of the activities that we offered. So yeah, so it's amazing. But Kathy and I are really into doing this. We'll keep doing these deep reset retreats, but this one is October 6th and 7th coming soon. And we have commuter packages available. So if somebody's either nearby or they can get another nearby place to stay, but come to everything, come to the hike and do all the activities and the slumber party.
It sounds wonderful and so much fun
Yeah.
and so healing.
Yes. Yeah. It really is such a beautiful experience. And I think at the end, when people are leaving, everybody is kind of saying, oh, I feel like we hear that a lot. Oh, that was amazing. And we all just have felt so together through that whole time. It is pretty amazing.
It sounds really amazing. And Tanya, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this. And I will be sure to actually share this right away so that people can take advantage of it because it does take a little time sometimes to get all the logistics together to come to something like this.
Totally. Yeah.
So,
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on and giving me a chance to talk about something that I love so much. I really appreciate that and the work that you do. And yeah, would love to see anybody. Feel free to sign up for a free discovery session and I can chat a little bit more if somebody is sort of feeling a little on the fence about it.
all right. Well, it sounds wonderful, Tanya. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.